Okay, just to let you know, I've had a brainwave on how to get the enemies to move around properly. Basically, my problem was that you hold the enemy by the top left of the sprite, that's where its handle is, when you draw it. So when you're checking for what tile it's in, you get where the top left is. So that means that if an enemy's dropping off of a platform, then on the right hand side of the platform it's going to be already floating in midair before it drops. And on the left hand side it's either going to drop while it's still on the platform, or it's going to, as in it will drop through the platform, or it will drop properly. The way I've thought of getting around this is to have a collision point on both sides of the sprite. So if I go into paint and just draw this quickly, I'll show you what I mean. So say this is my sprite, draw something or other. Okay, that's my sprite. Now the collision point it's checking is here. So if it's moving around, it could be all the way off the edge of a tile if it's going right, before that point will be over the edge and it will drop off. So what I'm doing is I'm checking that one, and I'm also checking another point here, which is just that one plus the width of the sprite minus a little bit, so it's not checking into the next tile. And that way when it's moving right, it checks to see where that point is. So that's when it's moving right, and when it's moving left, it checks to see where that point is. So it will be completely off the edge of the cliff, so the cliff edge there. So the sprite's moving left, it gets completely off the cliff edge. This point goes over the edge onto the next tile, and it goes, oh, I can drop now. But if it was moving right, if it was checking at that point instead of that point, it would have dropped off the edge when it was like still on the platform, like around here. So I put a second collision point in, so it's checking both collision points in both ways. I'll show you this working in the game. No, it's not Blitz Plus. Oh, I do actually check the code in Blitz Plus as well as Blitz 3D, by the way, just to make sure it runs on both. All the 2D tutorials I'm doing will be, unless specifically stated, will work on both Blitz 3D and Blitz Plus. So don't feel you have to get one or the other. I run the game. See, I've now got moving enemies, which will drop off cliffs. Oh, not all cliffs. No, you'll see some down here. So, go for my Mario moment now. 1, 2, 3. I got all 3. I haven't put skill multipliers in yet for killing enemies. I could do that. Well, you could do that. I mean, it'd be dead easy. Just have a timer that goes up to like 50 after you jump on an enemy, and then each frame make the timer go down by 1. If the timer is still above 0 when you get the next enemy, put it back up to 50 and double the score that you get for that enemy. And just keep a track of what the last score was. That should be easy enough for you to do if you wanted to do that. I'm not sure I will do that in my game because it's a bit too much of a rip-off of Mario, but you know, it's just an idea. So there you go. Moving enemies was easy enough. As I said last time, it was getting them to act sensibly and not drop off big cliffs, and also drop down stairs. So what they do is when they get to the edge of the cliff here, it says, okay, well there's nothing there, that's fine. There's nothing there, that's fine, but there's nothing there either. So I'm not going to drop off because I'm not going to drop more than 2 spaces at once. If I show you that in the code, if I find that bit of it, yeah. Right. I'll try and keep it brief. This section. So if the enemy's mx, which is how much it's moving by x, is more than 0, that means it's moving to the right because you're adding onto the x-axis. Then it will check to see if the enemy's x right, which is what I said about the right hand side, so that point, that's ex right and that's ex left. So if the cell that ex right is in which you calculate just by dividing the enemy's x coordinate by the tile size. No, the enemy's x coordinate plus a bit less than the width of the enemy, like I said earlier. Divide that by the tile size and you'll get which cell the right hand side of the enemy is in. So if that and EY, which is the enemy's Y cell in the array, 1, which is your collision layer, is 1. So if it's a solid block to the right hand side of the enemy, then enemy's MX equals minus enemy's MX. So it just means reverse the direction of the enemy. Otherwise, so if that's not solid, so if there's nothing that's right, it can keep going. If so, check if the enemy's right plus EY plus 1. Now remember, Y goes in opposite directions up and down the screen, so down the screen is actually going up on EY. So if the cell diagonally down from where the enemy is to the right is blank, and the next one down is blank, and the next one down is blank, then still reverse direction. Yeah? So as long as there are less than 3 cells blank down the edge of the cliff where the enemy is, and you'll see that happening in the game actually if I run it. You'll see the chip packet there on the top. Drops down there because there's only 2. Doesn't drop down there because there's 3 blank cells all there. So that's how that works. Obviously you can change this to suit your own needs for your own type of game. I could even specify something about in the files that we're going to have for the enemies. Each enemy will have its own kind of like config file. In that you'll be able to specify how far the enemy will fall and how fast the enemy will move, whether it flies, that sort of thing. That will be specified in that as well, so later on I'll actually build up some files like that. But yeah, just for now I just wanted to let you know that there's not going to be a big delay while I'm going away and thinking about this. And you should see a new tutorial pretty quick because I'm feeling pretty pleased about this being an easy problem. Okay, see you later, bye.